Tell me when to start.
Second. Okay.
It's such a great honor to be able to share some words with the faculty of Liber Yavne College as you go into the new semester, a new semester of teaching Torah, of being able to inspire Talmidim and Talmidot in the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and being able to spread the Torah HaKadosha to this next generation of wonderful and beautiful Talmidim. I want to thank Rabbi Cowan and Rabbi Berlin for inviting me to share some words with you. And what I'd like to share with you is basically three simple messages, three very basic ideas, and we'll be brief. The first simple message I like to share, based on my own experiences in teaching. I used to teach in a high school in New York for many years, for about 18 years, mostly teaching 15, 16-year-olds. It was a boys' high school, 15, 16-year-old boys. And one thing that I learned is that kids react very, very well when you respect them, when you talk to them like adults, when you treat them as adults, when you give them the same common trust and honesty that you would with other people in your life. I'll tell you a story. I once had I used to have a system in my shir, in my class, to try to get the students to wear tzitzis. As I mentioned, it was an all-boys school, and one day I took a poll and I asked the boys, how many of you wear tzitzis on a daily basis? And it was a startlingly low number of Talmidim that were wearing tzitzis. So I decided that every couple of weeks, on a random unannounced day, I was going to bring in some donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, one of the popular eateries here. I assume you have in Australia as well, some popular donut store. And I told the boys, whoever's wearing tzitzis gets a free donut. No punishment for not wearing tzitzis, even though school rules required it. But I'm not going to punish you. Whoever wears tzitzis can take a free donut. And the first week, we were only able to get rid of a half a box of donuts. But by the second, third time I was doing it, all the donuts were going. Everyone was wearing tzitzis, except for maybe one or two Talmidim. But I remember one of the Talmidim came up to get his donut, came up to my desk, and he said, Rebbe, I'm wearing tzitzis, and he started pulling out his tzitzis from his shirt. And I said, no, if you told me you're wearing tzitzis, you're wearing tzitzis. You don't have to prove it to me. And he looked at me like startled that you believe me? You just trust me? Like, it's a donut. You know, the biggest loss I'll have is about $1. I'm not so nervous about it. Years later, that student came over to me and told me what a life-changing moment that was for him, which is so startling to me. But he said it was a life-changing moment because it was the first time he ever felt that a teacher, a rebbe, or an adult ever just trusted him and trusted his basic sense of human decency and human honesty. And that basic sense of respect to have for a Talmid. Mitalmida yoser mikulam. We learn a lot from our Talmidim. It doesn't only mean in the kinds of questions that they ask and the kinds of points that they make, although it does mean that as well, and we should respect that as well. Just because we are more well-versed and we are more educated than our Talmidim might be, it doesn't mean that they don't have what to offer. A lot of times a student will ask a question that just comes from a different human brain that thought of things in a different way. And if we can't articulate an answer, then we really ought to respect the question. My second message is about the value of appreciating the long-term effect of proper chinuch. That sometimes it's frustrating. We come into school, we're all excited about a piece of Torah that we're ready to share. We're very anxious to get into the classroom because we think this piece of Torah is going to change their lives. You got to hear this, guys. This is going to be amazing. And they're tired. There was a big athletic event the previous night, and everyone is exhausted, and that's where their mind is. They have the other stresses in their lives, finals in other classes, or some boyfriend-girlfriend issues that they're dealing with, or whatever it might be, and they're just not interested. And you feel like, what am I doing? I should have been a plumber. Why am I doing this? Why am I coming in to school every day, putting myself out there and working so hard? And we should realize that the results very often take years to show. One of my Talmidim I shouldn't call him a Talmud, a dear friend of mine, Meir Simcha Stromer, is a Rebbe in a yeshiva in Chicago, and he said his first semester teaching, he was teaching Hilchos Shabbos, and he was teaching Choresh and Zoreya, and he said what a beautiful metaphor that was, that he was teaching about plowing and planting, because that's exactly what chinuch was, on the level that he's doing it in a very modern Orthodox high school, that a lot of times you don't see the results immediately, but you're choresh, you're zoreya. Just the other night, I had the opportunity to speak in a community, and the assistant rabbi of the shul introduced me. His name is Rabbi Chaim Axelrod in New Rochelle, and he introduced me by saying that I was his Chumash Rebbe when he was in 10th grade, 10th or 11th grade. And he said something very nice, because you're supposed to say nice things, whether they're exaggerated or not. He said, if I would have known who was in front of me at that time, I would have paid more attention. And I said, if I would have known who was in front of me at that time, I would have done a better job teaching. That here you have this Chashva Talmud Chacham, and in his formative years, and the kind of impact you could make. And that was such a musar for me. It was such a message for me to take. And a third point is a point that we've heard many, many times, but it requires chizuk, because all things that are true require repeating and require chizuk. And that is the idea that we need to love our Talmidim. That we need to love our Talmidim. Rav Yisrael Reisman, Rosh Yeshiva of Torah V'das, says that when people ask him what quality you need to have to go into chinuch more than anything else, he says, you have to really like people. It's the most important quality, because everyone reacts to a sense of love. Everyone reacts well when they feel that you are genuine, and that you really care about them, that you really love them. And that's such a critical idea, to make sure that we really care about our Talmidim, that we're invested in our Talmidim, we're invested in their lives, that when they're struggling, it's the kind of thing that keeps us up at night. To just have someone once asked Rav Yossi Tendler, who was the Menahel of Ner Yisrael High School in Baltimore, Mor Yeshiva High School. Someone asked him, how do you convince your Talmidim that you love them? And he said, start by actually loving them, and then you'll be able to convince them that you love them. That if you actually do it, they'll see the sincerity. They'll be able to appreciate that. They'll know that. I'll just add, I once asked Rav Moshe Benovitz, the head of the NCSY Summer Kollel, what qualities he looks for. Or I didn't ask him, someone else asked him, what qualities he looks for in a madrich, on the NCSY Kollel. These are young men who are supposed to be teaching Torah and inspiring and be role models for younger men, for boys who are 14, 15 years old. And he said that the quality he looks for more than anything else is that they be happy people. That they be happy people. He said, because no one looks at an angry person, a bitter person, and says, I want to be like that. When you see a person who lives life with the simchas achayim, with the genuine happiness, you want to be like that. Everyone is interested in the same things in life. People, no one's interested in kavod. No one's interested in money. They think they're interested in those things. What everyone is chasing is happiness. It's just some people think that kavod will get them happiness. Other people think money will get them happiness. But all people are really interested in is happiness. And when we model as educators that we live a happy life, that our home lives are happy lives, that we walk around with a smile on our faces. When I used to teach in high school, Talmidim would say, how you doing, Rebbe? And I would say, I'm great. I'm teaching in the greatest boys' yeshiva high school in the world. What could be bad? With a smile. That has a tremendous impact. So, again, to share the 3 points, to maybe give ourselves a little reminder as we go into a new semester in your wonderful school, to respect the Talmidim and realize Talmidei Yoser Mikulam means to treat the Talmidim as if they were adults, to be fair with them, to be honest with them. Second, to realize that it's a long life, God willing, for all of our Talmidim, and what we do now may not have immediate impact, but we're going to see great nachas in the future. And finally, to just love our Talmidim and express that sense of joy, that sense of happiness with which we live our lives. I wish you all tremendous hatzlacha, incredible success in the most important job in the world, inspiring the next generation for success in Torah and Avodas Hashem.